She says she's 23. But then it's more to her.
And we are live. We are live for the second day of the Proactive Parents Conference 2021. Welcome, everybody, to the second day of this conference. My name is Vivian, and if you're meeting me for the very first time, I'm the founder of the Proactive Parents Conference and the convener of the Proactive Parents Conference. The Proactive Parents Conference is a platform designed to bring in parenting conversations that will ignite self-awakening, self-discovery, that will help parents understand and commit to their journey, commit to the process, commit to the co-creators that we are with God. So our first speaker is in the studio already. We'll be bringing her in a moment. She will be speaking on the keys to flourishing parenting and leadership. So, but shortly before we do that, we will say a bit about the first speaker. The first speaker is Jesmine onyeukwu. Jesmine is a thought leader who um, we can also follow on her Instagram page. We will give a brief of her bio later towards the end of her session, because right now some of her bio, what we had network hitches that may not allow us read her bio now, and she's already in the studio, so we are bringing her in towards the end of her session. We will also read her bio. So stay tuned and invite everyone that is in your circle. Tell them to be here. I hope you can hear me. Hello,
I can
Jesmine.
hear you loud and
Welcome to this session. Thank you very much for being here.
thank
We
you
have.
for having me.
I am so sorry. We had a little bit of a network issues. You know our country with the power and the shortage of power and everything around us. So it's been crazy with the network and the shortage that we've been having in power supply. So we're leaving you now to do your thing. The next time I'm coming up, we will be taking questions and we'll be rounding up and we're sharing um, some of the things we want to share about you. So the floor is yours, ma'am. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Hello, parents. Hello, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, because sometimes parents are also, they also have nephews and nieces. So, hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Vivian, for inviting me, for having me in this conversation. I was hooked the moment you told me what you're inviting me to talk about: parenting, leadership. These are things I love to share about because I do understand how vital these concepts are to our lives as human beings. Every human being has the potential to be a parent. Some people choose not to, but every human being is embedded with the potential to bear children. For that reason, parenting happens to be a key part of our lives. So thank you for having me here. I hope we all engage. I love engaging sessions. So please leave I see the chat. So please leave your questions, leave your conversations as we're talking. Please engage in the chat. It would be great to know that there are real parents in the room in this event who are connecting with me. Thank you so much. So, like Ijama said, should probably get to my bio at the end. I don't want to take time doing that. Let's just get into the juice of the conversation today. So, the title for my session today is The Key to a Flourishing Parenting and Leadership. The key to, excuse me, I'm trying to. Okay. So, the key to a flourishing parenting and leadership. What is the key? It's just one thing. It's one key that unlocks it all. And I remember growing up, we used to sing a song that was talking about prayer as the master key. So there are other keys. You can have a ton of keys, but a master key is that one major key that can unlock a lot of doors. So if you are in your parenting and you're wondering, how can I be a better decision maker as a parent, or how can I be a better decision maker as an adult and as a leader outside the home, there's one master key. It's one key, and that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And that key is one word. It's simple. It's not complicated. Brothers and sisters, parents, fathers and moms, one thing I'd say to people is, whenever you're trying to solve a complex issue or a complex concept of life, you have to find the simplistic approaches. Simplistic thinking is a key, is a very good approach to solving complex problems. You and I know that parenting is complex. No matter how great you were raised, you can't replicate the way you were raised when you're raising your children, because parenting is a very dynamic thing. So how do we then hack this very complex something? The way to do that is to use simplification. So simplify, and the key today we're talking about is awareness. Okay, awareness is the key. And when Ijoma told me the Vivian, I keep calling her Igbo name because I'm Igbo. When she told me the theme for this event, I was excited because awareness and self-discovery are two sides of the same coin. When you are aware, you become a better person in the world. You direct yourself more effectively when you're aware. So awareness is the one key to unlock your parenting if you want to be a more effective, and not just a parent who is effective, but a parent who flourishes, who is thriving, like you're enjoying the process as you're in it. The key is awareness. Now we're going to understand what awareness is, but I want to give a preamble. I want to share a couple of things about parenting using real life examples and real stories. Then I'm going to tell you I'll give you the 6 steps of awareness for leadership, whether at home or anywhere else. So I was reading as I was preparing for this. I've been talking to parents for as long as I can remember. When I started coaching, I think in 2006, 15, 16 or thereabout, I started having parents come to me and say, "Oh, Jesmine, please help me, or my children, they won't do their homework, or they won't organize the home." Because I started out as a residential organizing professional. So they would say, "We need our children to organize their space, to do their homework. Jesmine, help me. I'm going crazy. I need my children to get themselves together." So I started having parents come to me, and I've been talking to parents since then. So this is not new for me, but it's exciting because it's been a while since I engaged with parents. Now, while I was preparing for this, I said, let me read up a couple of things about parents. Before I even did that, a couple of days ago, I'm thinking maybe about a week or so ago, there was this trailer that was making the rounds on social media. It was a trailer put together by Will Smith. Many of us will know Will Smith. He's a popular Hollywood actor. So Will Smith is doing a story about the father of the 2 most popular female tennis players of their time. So Venus and Serena Williams. Will Smith is doing a movie around the father, the story of the father. People hardly talk about Mr. Richard Williams, but he's very, very strategic. He's very pivotal to the success of his 2 daughters. So it was very exciting for me to see that the story of the man behind the scenes is coming to the fore. I was very excited. So if you haven't seen that trailer, go check it out. While I was watching the trailer with my husband, I got a little emotional because it was touching. And my husband said, this is going to be a very successful movie, because already there is anticipation building. Everybody wants to see how he did it. How did he raise 2 powerful, successful sports icons? How did he do that? Everybody wants to learn. So that movie, everybody's looking out for it. If you can, join the list of people looking out for that. Now, the father of Serena Williams, Serena and Venus, did something while his daughters were young. They were raised in a not so privileged environment, right? So this man, when I read that, he had a 78-page manifesto. I'm a business owner. Okay, I have business plans. I have my value proposition. I have all these kind of documents. I don't think I have any 78-page document of my business plan or of my life plan. But this father constructed he put together, he built a 78, do you know what it means to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you get to 78 pages of manifesto of what he wants his daughters to accomplish. Guess what? When you do something like that, when you commit and invest yourself in the lives of human beings, the result will be great. And that's what we see today. So let Richard Williams be an inspiration for those of us who are parents as we go through the points today, because I'm going to make reference to his story. Then there's also the story of the first Black president of America. Drum rolls. Barack Obama. Who doesn't love an Obama story? Who doesn't get inspired when they hear that this man, born of a Kenyan father, born to a white mother, experienced racism and all of that, and rose to become the first Black president of America? And let me tell you something about Barack Obama that you may not have really thought about. His father wasn't there for the most part. Barack Obama's father wasn't in his life for the most part, but there was a seed that the father planted. That's why I think the first book Obama wrote was titled Dreams from My Father, if I'm correct. And in that book, he talked about how his dad dreamt of being a great, successful American man. This was an immigrant man from Kenya. You know what it's like to come to America where racism was at its peak and tell yourself, I will succeed. And he didn't become the first Black president, but his son did. So his father imprinted something in this young boy that even though the father was not there for the most part of Barack Obama's life, Obama became such a great and successful man. Reflections, parents, reflect and see how much of greatness and dreaming you've deposited in your children. Now, the 7 steps of awareness. The first one here is reparenting yourself. Reparenting yourself. Parents, no matter how much, I said it before, your parents were great, they gave you access to resources and everything. When you start having children, you have to rethink the way you were raised, no matter how great. So reparenting yourself is coming to the place where you're deciding to reprogram yourself, because we're evolutionary. Okay, maybe you were raised in an environment where people thought a certain way, they did things a certain way. As you're evolving, you have to start to reconfigure. You have to reprogram yourself. You have to ask yourself, what are the beliefs and the conditionings and the habits and attitudes and behaviors that I have collected that no longer serve me? And reparenting is a consistent thing. If you're going to parent another human being, you must first be a parent to yourself. So that's the first step in the in the awareness formula, or in the awareness master key, I should say. The first thing is reparent yourself. Now go and I listened to some parts of what the first speaker yesterday said. She did a great job. Thank you so much. She talked about going to do a reflection, going into the closet, looking deep into yourself. Take a break, take a pause from I want to direct my children on how I want to be the master director of my children to let me first be the master director of myself. So that's the first step. Understand your tendencies. What are your weaknesses? Every one of us have weaknesses. Everyone. I know my weakness. And she said something yesterday that was very much in alignment. She said her weakness is she tends towards control. She's a structured person, and she was speaking. I'm like, she's speaking my language. I'm structural. I love structure. So sometimes I'm borderline controlling because of that. When I go into an environment, and that's how I function in the field where I work. I've been an organizing, productivity, and peak performance expert for all my entrepreneurial life. So you need to understand your tendencies. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your preferences? What are your proclivities? What are the things that you tend to do? You have to do an assessment as a parent consistently. It's not a one-off thing. You're going to come back every now and then and revisit and say, okay, what is popping up? What am I noticing in the way that I speak to my spouse or speak to my children or even speak to strangers? Because your children are a reflection of everything that you do. Number 2, you have to find healing and wholeness. That's the second step in the awareness master key. Parents, please listen. No matter how great your life is, you need healing. Every one of us. Healing is a consistent thing that we do through our life's journey. Some of us have trauma. We've had bad experiences. We were raised under hardship. We were raised under very toxic environments. You have to detoxify yourself. So you have to ask yourself, what are things that I need to... Sometimes some people don't even know that they carry dysfunction. In my coaching practice, I've seen this over and over again. And this is, first of all, with me. There were times when I lived my life acting like, oh, I'm a cool girl, oh, I got this figured out. Meanwhile, there were lots of dysfunction and disorder going on inside. So it's the first step in the healing process is to recognize, what do I need to heal from? Is it self-doubt? Is it unbelief? Is it my limiting thoughts and beliefs? Is it generational limitations? What do I need to heal from? And you walk towards wholeness beyond healing. Okay, you're healed. Walk towards striving for staying in divine health, in divine wholeness. It could be with your emotions. Are you somebody who's you snap easily, your emotions, you're flippant with your emotions? What do you need to resolve? Do you make bad choices? There were times in my life when I made very bad choices. But thank God for grace. Thank God for the ability to course correct and find a new path. So look inwards and ask yourself, what do I need to heal? Could it be trauma? Could it be bad behaviors? And learn how to manage your limitations and help your children do the same. Let me say this here. If you are raising children in an environment that has limitations, a lot of limitations. If you're a Nigerian parent, like Ijama was talking about, the issue with power supply and the disruptions, if you are raising children in an environment that has higher levels of limitations, you have a higher level of responsibility. Your children are dealing with more than they should be dealing with. So as a parent, you're giving more than the average normal parent. Now, let me say this, let me make it plain. For example, you live in a place where all your children see when they go out there, maybe they go shopping or they go to school or they go to the place of worship or they engage in the neighborhood or they are riding home back and forth from school. All they see is disharmony, chaos, disorder, confusion, noise everywhere. That becomes what your children see as the ideal. That limitation in the environment becomes their ideal if you don't manage it. If you don't tell them, honeys, this is the world we live in, but this is not the ideal situation. This is how the world is supposed to function. This is how God designed the world to function. The world was designed to function in order, in harmony, in coordination, not in chaos. So you have to keep happening to your children what is the ideal so that the limiting environmental system does not become their ideal. When I was in Nigeria, I used to always tell parents, please organize your homes. Please get rid of clutter. Please clean your environment, make it hygienic. You want to raise great children, but the environment is so unhygienic. There's a whole lot of bacteria already. It's going to the limitation out there is a lot already, and they're going to come in and now have oh, come on, don't do that. So organize your home so that if your children go out there and there's clutter on the streets, there's garbage everywhere, when they come into their home, it's like they're in their own alternate universe. They create their own world within the environment that you have designed for them. So learn to, in the place of healing and seeking wholeness, one of the steps, these topics, I'm just going to give an overview because I have 40 minutes. This could be hours of conversations and hours of talk. So I'm just going to give overviews and give you a few bullet points. So when it comes to healing and wholeness, one of the things you want to do is to learn to manage limitations. Understand that we are bigger than our environment. I talked about the story of Barack Obama. Now, Barack Obama struggled with finding his own identity in the world. It's going to lead me to my third point. You were born by a black father who was an immigrant, not an American citizen. He just came to America to study. Then he met your mom and he got married to your mom. And of course, the conversation was, oh, he's just trying to get his papers. People would have said that. And that's why he married this woman. People say a lot of things. And when the son was born, he was torn between, who am I? I have this black father and a black family all the way in Kenya, in Africa, and I have this white mom and white family here. Who am I in the world? So he grew up as a young boy, struggling to find his identity. But one thing, according to the story from the book Dreams from My Father, the father made him understand that you are a citizen of the world. Don't let anybody question your identity. It's going to lead me to the third point. Because when you've done the healing, you've tried to manage the limitations, it is then time to do the third thing. Build self-identity. And these things I'm saying, parents, is a two-way thing. You have to do it for yourself. You can't be trying to get your children to improve their environment if you have not improved your environment, if you're not setting the tone, if you're not living by example, right? You have to start. It's a two, you do it where for yourself, is concurrent. As you're helping yourself overcome limitations, you're helping bring your children along. The third step, or the third step in the awareness master key, is self-identity. Self-identity. If you don't give anybody anything in the world, if you don't leave anything with them, leave with them the inheritance of who they really are. Leave with them the inheritance of who they really are in the world. That's the best gift you can give anybody. When you hammer into somebody, this is who you are. Don't let anybody shrink you. Don't let anybody reduce you. You are not defined by your environment. Do that for your children. Teach them about the concept of global citizenship. We come from Nigeria. Sometimes the environment limits us. We're like, oh, we're cultural. Yes, I'm a cultural person. I understand culture. But after culture, I'm a global person, because I'm here to function in a global space. We're in the world where globalization is a thing. Digitization is making us very interconnected, more connected than ever. And the connection will just keep expanding. Your children, they probably are exposed to social media. They can see what other people are doing all over the world. So this is the time to build in them the concept of global citizenship. They are not just Nigerians. Yes, this is their cultural identity. This is their country of origin, right? But the human being pre-existed before we started to do all these geographical mappings and build borders and all of that. The human beings existed before then. It's going to lead me to some other point down the line. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me calm down. So build in them a sense of self-identity so that your children can go out there and face the world. But remember, it's a step-by-step process. I love to teach in processes. If you have not identified your struggles, if you have not done your self reparenting, and if you have not done the healing to remove the limitations within your environment, you can't build a strong sense of identity in your children. So do this, follow the step-by-step process. Build, solidify their identity in the world. The fourth one is develop self-mastery for your children. That's the fourth step in this process. It's a 7-step process, like I said. Develop self-mastery. Now they know who they are. Their identity is strong. You've removed the immediate limitations in their environment so that they can manage the limitations outside. Now they're building themselves. They know that they have to be global citizens. They have to think about who they are in the world. They respect their culture. We grew up in an environment where my dad really inculcated that sense of self-identity in us, actually my parents. So there were times when we lived in environments where we would come out and children would be disrespectful to elders, and you would hardly catch us, me and my siblings, in that category of disrespectful children. Hardly. So people will always come to my parents and say, how did you raise your children? They're so different. People were always saying to my parents, your children are so different. They respect elders, they comport themselves, because my parents are very conservative and sometimes tough. So you didn't have any room. If you were brought home with a report of disrespect, of disregard, of behaving unruly, you're going to be in serious issues. So that's how we're able to forge our identity, that even till now, till my adult age, there's no way I've lived my life. I'm over 30. I'm actually past mid-30s. Okay. So there's nobody who would come to say Jesmine has been disrespectful to me, or elderly people who would say. So the way that you raise your children will help them frame who they are in the world. Now let's talk about self-mastery. You think, I was asking a parent, I was like, how old should your child be before you start to help them to learn how to lead? And they couldn't answer. There's no age that's too early. If it's 1, 2, 3, wherever you're at, if your children are teenagers, wherever you're at, it's time to start to build their sense of leadership. It's time to start to build their sense. I'm sorry about that. I got a call coming in. Just give me a second. I didn't mute. I'll call the person later. So it's time to help them develop their sense of leadership. You can start when they are 1, 2, 3, or whatever age they're at. Help your children develop a sense of leadership, because that is the way they build, they expand their brain. The human brain is an incredible concept. And you wonder why does one person have a very high IQ and the other person is struggling? but this is my belief, and you're entitled to your own belief, but this is my belief. I love enabling belief. Any belief that limits human beings is never going to be in my repertoire of beliefs. Okay, I have a chest of beliefs. Anything that says, well, some humans are better than the other, you will never, at this point in my life, you will never find anything that is limiting. So I am of the belief that every one of us can improve our intelligence quotient. Every one of us can improve our IQ. Every one of us can become more creative, more insightful, more. We can become more imaginative, more conceptual. This is my belief. So if you want your children to develop, to help, to harness their brain, to harness their thinking and their human capacity, you have to develop leadership in them. So there's a story of a girl I read. Actually, we read it in my family few days ago. We use a devotional when we pray. We do our family prayer and altar. We have a family altar. We pray, we read the Bible, and we do our devotional. So there's this story from one of the lessons in the devotion that talks about parenting. So it says, invest in your children. Let me read a bit let me read excerpts from the story for you. So there was this little girl born to a man, a two parents, of course, no, born to a was, how do you put it? Two parents. I don't know. How do you call a group of mom and dad? It's just parent. Okay, okay. I'm getting all over the place now. So there was this a young girl born to a man and woman called Harry and Ada May. She was born in a small ranch that was miles away from the city. So the ranch was in a small remote place. There was not much civilization around. So she was born there. They traveled about 200 miles to get to the hospital where she was delivered. Just to give you a picture of how far where they lived was from civilization. So she grew up in that environment. You would think that this girl will grow up in a difficult situation. There will be a lot of limitations, and because she was born in this environment, her future will be limited. That's the average thinking. Oh, because I'm in Nigeria, because Nigeria doesn't work. This life anyway, we'll just settle. No, your children don't have to settle. If they develop leadership, they will solve the problems in the environment and become even way better. The whole goal is for us to be much better than our environment. So Harry and Ada May, when they had their child, they lived in a house that didn't have any running water, no electricity. There was no school within driving distance. This is hardship. This is really difficult. This is a difficult situation. But they had limited resources. So this is to parents who are from, I come from Nigeria. I know what it's like. It could be hard there. This is an encouraging story for you. If you're in a place where there's so much limitations, where you don't have access to resources, please understand that regardless of that, your children can be great. So what the parents did, Ada and Harry May, they determined that their children will not know these limitations. It won't be their narrative. It won't be their identity. They will observe it. It will be their reality. Right? Reality is totally different from identity. So this might be their reality, but it would not be their identity. So the parents decided to go to work, and they said they will give their children the best education possible. And guess what they did? They subscribed to metropolitan newspapers and magazines. Information. They read to their child, their daughter. They read to their child hour after hour. They bought the magazine and they were reading to a little child. When she was 4 years old, they began to incorporate a homeschooling method. She couldn't travel to school; it was very far. It wasn't going to be realistic. So the mom became a homeschool teacher. She was a homeschooler and started to help the child. The homeschooling method is called the Calvert method. So the Calvert method is where you can request for a curriculum from a school. You can't take your child there, but you can request for the curriculum. The school will give you the different lessons in the curriculum, and they will give you the assessment points. So the mom took the curriculum and was doing it like as if her daughter was in school. Great, very innovative, right? Then later, they sent her off to the best boarding schools, but they had done the work of making her understand who she is in the world and that these limitations don't define her. Then they would take their children in a car to visit the state capitals in America. Once in a while, they will take them out. Okay, now you live in this small ranch. There's no civilization here, but this is not the best you can see. Let's go explore the world. Let's go check out what it's like, what life is happening in some other places. Let's go explore. So that's one thing that can help your children. Guess what? This is where the story gets super interesting. So listen. When the young girl, her name is Sandra, when she was ready for college, guess what college she went to? She went to an Ivy League. She got into Stanford University. Then she went to law school, and she eventually became the first female justice of the United States Supreme Court. We need to pause for a second. That's how much potential your children have, regardless of the limitation. They can be the first something in the world. They can be the first person who does one thing, who finds a cure for this, who finds a cure for cancer, who solves this problem. Your children have great potentials. Don't limit them. And this is reflected on when I was growing up. My parents, as a child, I kind of, maybe not detested, but I was not very pleased with the way that my parents consumed content. My dad would listen to Voice of America a lot. And then he would bring me in and say, sit down, honey, listen to the news. And there was this man, Ted, I think it's Ted. Oh, I can't remember his last name now. He had this fun way of spinning the news. And it was so interesting that I started getting, interested in media. He would spin the news in a way. He had this tagline he used to use at the end of his session on Voice of America. If you ever listened to Voice of America as a kid and you know Ted, my husband knows his name fully, but I can't remember his last name. So my dad would make me listen. And my dad used to read a lot of informational content. My dad was not into entertainment at all. Actually, we grew up not watching TV in my house. Yeah. This is major disclosure, okay? We grew up not watching. My dad was zero entertainment, information. I told a story one time of how my dad used to bring stories about Margaret Thatcher, and he would show me and say, honey, read about this woman. She's a great inspirational woman. I want you to be great. Because we were all girls in my house, 5 girls, and people used to tell my dad, you don't have a boy, who's going to take on your legacy, who's going to do this? And my dad would tell me, I need you to be so great that the people who are questioning me about boys wouldn't have anything to say because you'd be so great. So these are ways that you could inspire your children. You could push them to reach for their full potentials, help them develop their thinking. If you live in an environment that is too limiting, take your children out. Take them to factories. Take them to business districts. Let them see how businesses are run. Let them see how people create and solve problems. Take them to a tech lab. Take them to an innovation lab. You can even register for your children to go to innovation labs in this era of coding. I took my children to coding. We took our children to a coding program, and it was just fascinating at what children were doing with technology and computers. Expose your children. If there are technologies that you can afford, I know that resources are limited. For every one of us, resources are limited in a physical world, but your children can tap into other dimensions. That's a whole new topic, but I don't want to go deep into that. But these are a few steps. Help them explore. Once they even go and see the possibilities, their minds are open. Okay, so when I just did a little bit of brand refreshing, I rebranded my company a few weeks ago. All of my children were stakeholders, my husband and all my children. When we were going around the logo concept and everything, I called them and I was asking for their feedback. My 10-year-old son is very much into, oh, that's not working, take that out. Okay, add this here, move this here. I take their feedback. That's one of the ways to develop leadership in your children. They help involve them in decision making. Involved because you don't know how far that can go. Now I believe that my 10-year-old son knows the basics of running a business because he's seen me do my business. He's seen me. So please, parents, don't shrink your children. Don't limit them. Don't put a cap on them. Help them explore. Most times we overconsume entertainment. I don't have a problem with entertainment. It has its place. But if you're every time you're home with your children, it's always entertainment, it can shrink there's what is called the prefrontal cortex in the human brain. This is called the forebrain. The prefrontal cortex is what helps us tap into creative thinking, innovative, dynamic, powerful thinking. And, scientists, just so that neuroscientists started realizing that the prefrontal cortex has great capacities that humans have not even explored. We haven't even scratched the surface. You know, when you look in the world and you see things like artificial intelligence and technological advancements, and you're like, wow, look at what humans are creating. Look at the robotic designs where robots are running errands and all, and you are amazed. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we could do with technology. And the only way that your children can learn to tap into that creative place is by what they consume. If it's too much entertainment fires the behind. It's called the back brain, the hind brain. Okay, the hind brain is where sensations dwell. If your children are too entertained and they're not exposed, they're not informed, they're not learning new ways of doing new things, you might shrink their brain because you will shrink their prefrontal cortex. So one way to develop your children into self-mastery is to expose them, give them educational content. Sometimes we live in Nigeria, and I'm going to say this, it might be harsh, but no offense intended. Nigerians over-consume entertainment. My husband was telling me that in Ghana, Ghana is our brother. If you're Nigerian, Ghana is a neighboring country to Nigeria. In Nigeria, the TV stations that have the most popularity are educational TV platforms. In Nigeria, we're consuming like stuff like Big Brother. No disrespect for any person's brand or platform, but I'm saying there's a place for entertainment and there's also a place for educational, informative content that can expand our children's thinking and our thinking as well. As parents, the work starts with us first. My time is running out. Okay, let me hurry up. So the fourth step in the process is impactful living. Okay, so impactful living. I have an impact model. I wish I could share my screen, but not today, maybe some other time. On the impact model, we have 4 layers of obligations. The first thing is yourself. As a leader, as a parent, take care of yourself. Don't neglect your own needs. Take care of yourself. You're the individual. It's always individual first. If you were boarding an airplane, excuse me, if you're on board an aircraft and they're giving you safety instructions, they would often say, please safeguard yourself before trying to safeguard anybody else, even though it's your child. You are not going to be well equipped to protect another person, to guide them, or to have great impact on their lives if you haven't taken care of yourself. So start with self. Do your self-care. Are there areas where you need to rest, to take care of yourself, to nourish your body? Do that. Then move over to your group self, your family. Invest in your children. We've already given you different ways to do that. Listen, one of the ways to invest in humans is to make time. Be fully, and not just time. So parents are present, but they are not present. They are present physically, but emotionally they are tuned out. You're there. This is me sometimes. A few times I'm repentant. The Lord is helping me to overcome it. You're on your phone, you're replying text messages while you're supposed to be with your children. Put away the device and be fully there. Be mindful, be fully aware. So time is one way to invest in people. Attention. Understand what they're dealing with even before they speak. Understand. You see your children, they're not talking, they're calm, they're quiet, they're moody. As a parent, emotional intelligence requires that you interpret what they're not saying. Sometimes we asking, hey, you come here, what's wrong with you, now talk to me, and they can't talk. So being an intelligent parent is going beyond what is said to understand how to help the person. Then the next one is the culture. Respect your culture. We have, Nigerians, we're very cultural people. We love our culture. But what I say to people is understand that there's another layer. There's a society. So if your culture is going to shrink you and make you only a cultural person, it's not helping you. A culture is supposed to give you a base, help you with your social identity, but it should push you out in the world. A culture should expose you. So respect your culture. Then more importantly, at large, think of being an impactful person in the larger society. That's how to live an impactful life. If your children see that, then they will be inspired. I told a story of one time when I moved to Canada, my family and I would move to Canada. Running my business here was very hard at the time. I'm trying to be as vulnerable as possible. So in 2016, I was at the point where I was doubting my entrepreneurial abilities because it was hard to get my footing. So I was considering quitting entrepreneurship. But I guess that my son was 6 years old at the time. I guess he had seen me pour myself into this business. One day we were at family prayer time and he said something. We just said, Jaden, pray. And he prayed for the first time and he said, Lord, please bless mommy's business. And he mentioned the name of my business, the Organizing Academy and Jesus Charm. They will do exploits in Jesus' name. when he said that, I cried in that prayer. I was so emotional. I said, God is speaking through this child. I was about to quit. But if I hadn't brought my children into the business, I don't know how he would have got the inspiration from God to say, pray for your mommy's business. She's actually at the point where she's reconsidering running this business. So when we impact in our children, when we give time, attention, and all of that, it comes back to us. The sixth one is sustainable parenting. Okay, I'm almost rounding up. It's the first points, the first steps were very intense. These ones are very easy to understand. Sustainable parenting. You must understand how to blend conventional and contemporary. I often hear the debate, especially in the Nigerian environment, in the Nigerian community. We must follow the way that we were raised. Our parents were very tough, they were very stern. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to parent. Nobody can actually, there's no blueprint for parenting by any human being. The blueprint is from God. And one of the things I say to people is learn how God allows us to make choices. There's a place where he guides, he teaches, he instructs, he corrects, and there's a place where he gives us free will. So if you're thinking of how to be a parent, understand sustainable parenting, how to blend contemporary and conventional approaches to parenting. Because let me tell you this, it's not a spoiler. It's the real truth. It's hard truth, because I love hard truths. One of the things that makes me a great and a better that makes me a better leader. I shouldn't say a great leader. That's not for me to say. One of the things that makes me better in my leadership every day is hard truth. I love when someone brings the truth to my face, even though it's unpleasant, because the truth is not here to make you feel good. The truth is here to make you do good and straighten you. The next generation, take note of this, the next generation is always more evolved than the last. There's always an improvement in every new generation. So your children can't think the way you think. They can't act the way you act. Just understand it. So be sustainable in your parenting. Because if you do not, that generation, they will become resentful. That we see it a lot. Children become resentful of their parents. They will just be like, can't you understand? And I can't think like you. Mom and dad, I can't think like you. Don't frustrate me. It's because parents are not sustainable. They are saying, this is the way I was raised. Now let's go in that direction. But it doesn't work that way. Generations evolve, and we must learn to go with that evolution. So if you're asking, how do I parent? Just do it based on the truth. There are things that will never fail you. When you love your children, when you guide, train is you show them the way, you lead by example. When you pray for them, when you speak over their lives, when you encourage them, you can never go wrong on this. Forget about all the other traditional methodologies. Focus on the principles first. Okay, when you do the parenting the right way, it will help your children be less timid. Many children I see who are raised in environments with limitations, they grow up with timidity and fear. They're afraid to take challenges. They're afraid to take risks. It's not good. So if you raise them with sustainable parenting, they will take on challenges. You will see them, you as a parent, you'll be amazed. Like, you took on that challenge, you had the courage to face that thing and you conquered it. Isn't that what we all want? It will also boost their self-confidence. If you're raised in an environment with limitations, say maybe, we often hear that people come to this part of the world and they start questioning, oh, your accent, where is it from? Oh, your color, you're obviously from this. I hear you guys, there was a time they said people were asking, we hear that in Africa, people live on trees like monkeys. Come on now. Imagine having a child come into an environment where they are telling them that we've heard stories about where you're from that are this. Look at how horrible the stories are. If they don't have self-confidence, they'll start looking at themselves like, it's like I'm not good enough, or it's like I'm not smart enough. So help to boost their self-confidence. Give them access to information. If you're going to do one thing for your children, parents, boost their reasoning. Let your children make decisions independent of you. Let them know they need to organize their rooms. They need to organize their lives. Let them know that. You can do that for them. Also build trust and connection. Some of us are great at parents with guiding, teaching, but we're not great with building trust. Our children can't trust us to come to us when they fail. They can't trust us to come to us when they make mistakes, because we're going to bring the world down. That's not nice. That's not sustainable parenting. So sustainable parenting means you build trust. You tell the person in your lows and highs, my love is a constant. I will never ridicule you for your mistake. I will never judge you. I will guide you. I will correct you. If something goes wrong, we will work hard to fix it. But the whole goal is to get you to always do right, so that you don't suffer the consequences of wrongdoing. But if anything goes wrong, honey, we make mistakes. The scripture says, if a righteous man falls 7 times, he will rise up all 7 times and another. Okay, so if you make mistakes, come to mommy and daddy. We're going to figure it out. Let's learn to do that. It's sustainable parenting. Last but not the least, here as I wrap up, Ijoma, please. I'm not seeing any engagements in the background. I don't know if they're there, if they are coming. So please let me know in the chat if there's anybody here. Let me see. Oh, I'm seeing the comments. Oh my God, I was not in the comment the entire time. Oh my God. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. I'm seeing every comment. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, the last one here is you have to be a principled person, principled living, and not just principled living today and tomorrow. You're like, what's going on? Consistent principled. When you're a principled person, you put your money where your morals are. You put your voice where your values are. If your children know that we stand for this is the value in our family, they need to see you represent that. So principled living is not based on fear, it's based on understanding the truth. So I say to parents, understand the laws of nature, the laws of life. The laws of life never change. So they are the laws of the spirit, spiritual laws, they never change. The example of a spiritual law is the law of grace. When a man falls 7 times, he will rise up the 8th time. That's a law of grace. The Lord can forgive your sins no matter what. That's a law of grace. Every one of us need that. God can forgive you. God's grace is sufficient for you. The divine, almighty, most intelligent, and infinite merciful God can protect you and guide you. These are the spiritual laws. Inculcate that in your children. Imprint it in them. There's also the natural laws. There's a law of sowing and reaping. There's a law of karma. It's a natural law. There's a law of attraction. There's a law of vibration. These are natural laws. Whether you and I like it or not, everybody is operating under the laws. The laws are principles that God established. And he established the principles and went about other businesses. So when we work against the principles, they work against us. When we work in alignment, one of the ways to work in alignment with the principle of vibration is to believe something so well in a way that you're able to reflect that thing. When you vibrate that thing, you believe it so well, you've poured yourself into it, you know that this is your identity, you're called to solve this problem, and you will do it in the best way. You're an excellent person, you're a problem solver. You start to vibrate, you will see that forces will start to align with you. You start aligning with things that tend towards that belief. That's where the law of vibration works very much with the law of attraction. So these are laws. It's not just enough to know spiritual laws, but you don't know natural laws. Then there's also scientific laws. Okay, when you look at the human biology, the human anatomy, there are certain things that will never change. They're science. One thing I say to people is, miracles happen, right? I know many of you here might be people of faith. Miracles happen. Spiritual laws can override scientific and natural laws, but spiritual laws never disrespect natural laws. Okay, some of us think God does magic. God is not a destructive disruptor. God is coordinated. He has established natural laws. That's why a man and a woman will have to come together, get into an engagement, a sexual intercourse engagement, then conception will happen, fertilization, and all of that. That's a scientific law, is a process. So if a miracle wants to happen, it will align. The miracle can align with scientific law and override any limitations in scientific law. That's where spiritual laws come in. But spiritual laws don't scatter everyone and say, oh, no more conception. You don't just go stay on the street and say, child, come, and a child will fall in your arms. That becomes foolishness or delusion, right? So understand laws, the laws of the spirit, nature, and science, and build on faith. Life might be hard. The reality is not the truth. I know that reality does not respect truth. Someone says facts don't care about your feelings. That's the truth. But men and women, brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, focus on the truth. Have faith. Have faith in the great potentials in your children. First of all, in yourself and in your children. That regardless of the limitations in the environment, they can be the best thing in the world. That they're global citizens. That they have a place in the world, and their place is an important piece of the entire puzzle. We must remember that and have faith while still using your faculty. So many of us go use faith as numbing mechanism. You have faith, but you can't think. It's not nice. I go to church, I do this, I pray and all, but I don't have a plan. I don't have a roadmap. no strategy. I'm not consulting with an advisor, nothing. I just have a plan that I will become the next billionaire in Africa. That I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know if it's ever happened historically. If it has, maybe tell me. But you have to understand the place of thinking, your faculty, then understanding the facts. If I want to be a billionaire in Africa, what are the factors that will impact that? Are there political factors? Are there industrial, technological factors? I need to put all of that in the mix. I need to understand all of those. So I'm coming to the end of my session today. And just to encourage you, parents, have faith. A Barack Obama's father had faith that he could be a great man in America, and he ended up becoming the father of the first Black president in America. Serena Williams and Venus's dad believed that his two daughters will become the best female tennis players in the world. He had faith and he went to work. He trained these girls, and today that became a reality. So don't focus on what is. The reality is not the truth. The situation is harsh. The environment is harsh. I'm here to encourage you, parents. I'm getting emotional as I'm talking because I know what it's like to live in harsh conditions. I know what it's like to not have resources. I know what it's like to be so limited that that's all you see. Please, parents, think. Change the narrative around your children. Have faith. There is still God, and God is looking out for great human men and women that he will use for his purpose on this earth, and it could be your child. Don't think about yourself too much, okay? Sometimes what God is here to do is to use you to raise the next first Black president of Canada, okay? Yeah, Ijoma, come on in now. We're wrapping up. You could just be the one who's going to raise big thing in the world. So have faith. And I pray that as you get on this journey of parenting, that God will help you to do it the best way possible and leave the best legacies in the world. I'm praying with you. I'm praying for you. And God bless you for being here today. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. This session got me so emotional, Jesmine. This session is so mind-blowing. This session is, I don't know, a parent wrote it here. I'm crying. I was also crying with her. Like we don't even know the level of what God has entrusted in us because of the limitations that go around us. We don't even understand the kind of potentials that God has endowed our children with, especially in this part of the world. The stories you shared with us today have, I don't know the right adjective to use for it. But I know that you have touched souls today, Jesmine. You've spoken to souls today. People are encouraged. People are picking up their pet pieces of life to get up and continue the race. So many parents are putting in comments in the comment sections. I am crying. I am heartbroken. Oh my God, the reality is here before me. I can do more. A lot of things in the comment section. And I am feeling the same way. I am feeling the same way because when we look around us, there are so many limitations that have made us, we translate all of these things on our children, and our children are not even seeing any roadmap. We are not creating anything. We are stuck with them, especially in this part of the world. It's crazy. I knew it's like this, but I didn't know the depth of it all until I began the coaching sessions with parents, and I began to see that a lot of us are broken. 80-90% of us needs healing. Even myself, I came to a point where I thought I was raised in a Christian stable home. I thought I had it all. I thought I knew a lot of things. I thought I was awesome, no problem, nothing, until I began a journey of self-discovery. And from that time till now, it's been a journey. It's been a journey and a transformational one. Thank you, Jesmine. I do not know what to say, but I know that you left every parent that is in this session and the ones that will watch the replay. You've left us with so much to go to, a lot of thought process. You've left us with, the comments are still coming in. Comments are still coming in. Beautiful session, Jesmine. Jesmine, I want to know you. I want to see you. Jesmine, you need to tell me so I can become more with what I am going through now. That's the last session comments that I'm seeing here. Another person said, thank you, Jesmine. You have healed me today. Another person said, amen, Jesmine. I key into your prayers and I will get up and start working again. Oh my goodness. You have left us with so much. So, in fact, the healing process have started with this session. The healing process have started with this session. I want to thank you so much, Jesmine. God bless you for this session. This is mind blowing. This is explosive. This is expressive. You gave us steps to take up these things. Like it wasn't just what it should be, but you gave us the steps to start it. I am grateful. We are coming for you, Jesmine. We are coming again. Proactive parents will come again. You know why? We want to stay ahead. We want to be intentional. We want to walk ahead of these situations, ahead of these limitations, and begin to walk through this process. It's a journey. It's a journey, and a lot of us are stuck in the journey. So many parents, I didn't know it was this huge until I began coaching program in the parenting industry. It's amazing. Like the things we've gotten this evening is so loaded, value packed. We will pick up ourselves and begin to, put these things into practice. And we want to tell you that we are coming again. We will come for you to break those things down for us to be intentional, to be proactive. If we're not proactive, we may never engage with the next generation. A lot of people are raving you, Jesmine. People are raving you in the comment section. God bless you. God bless you. The proactive parents are grateful. We are coming again and again so that you can help us in this process. It's a journey, and we want to begin this journey like so many parents are putting in, clapping their hands for you, raving you in the comment section. Thank you very much, Jesmine. We don't have any questions. People are putting in tears and emojis. Like your session is so emotional. It's so emotional. Thank you so very much. God bless you. God bless you. We are grateful. We don't have any questions. We are busy crying. We are crying. We are just crying in this session. We are just crying. But I know we will start this journey. It's a process. We will start it. I will call you again to share some of these things with us. Thank you so very much. God bless you for doing this with us and for us. Thank you very much. Do have a lovely evening.
You too. Bye.
So, people, thank you for being in this session. Every one of us who was in this first session, it was mind blowing, like mind blowing. And we don't take this privilege for granted. We are going to start um, we are going to start putting down all of the things that jumped at us in this session. It's not going to stop in the conference. We are bringing in a program where we'll break these things down, where we'll begin a process that will help us commit to our journey. This is not just going to end in the session in the Proactive Parents Conference. Is no one conference can give you everything. We are bringing in a program, we are launching in a program that is going to run in the academy where we break down these processes and help ourselves. It's going to be an accountability program where we hold ourselves accountable for our journey and for the process we have taken up to be. It's a journey. It's not I have arrived. No one arrives anywhere any day. It is a process, and we keep committing to the process because our children are growing daily. No matter where your children are today, they are growing daily. They are toddlers. You can't just say, oh no, they are toddlers, they don't know anything. No, Jesmine said it. Wherever your child is today in the spectrum, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, you need to start working a process and a journey with them. So guys, stay back, stay tight, keep your pen and paper around you and close to you. We are getting into the next session. Don't go away.